The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests, and are not those of Pesmo Radio, its employees or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements of any radio show programs or products mentioned on air, on our website, social media accounts, and marketing materials. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to Pesmo Radio, its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing Pesmo Radio.
Are you a songwriter? Are you looking to turn your songwriting passion into a full-time gig? Whether you are just at the start of your songwriting journey or a seasoned industry professional, this show is made for you. Welcome to the Songwriter Show, bringing together songwriting news, interviews, and community. Now, welcome your host, Sarantos.
Thank you for tuning in and welcome back to the Songwriter Show. I'm your host, Sarantos. I'm a solo music artist who's been writing lyrics for as long as I can remember. Words are so important to me, and that's why I'm thrilled to host this show for you every Tuesday evening. I believe that every song is a story. The Songwriter Show is broadcast live on number one rate Pesmo Radio and has listeners in all 206 countries in the world and every state in the U.S. The station is licensed with ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, and Sound Exchange, and has partnerships throughout the music industry, including iHeartRadio and exposure to over 300 million listeners. Tonight's guest is Pamela Hopkins. Pamela is a powerhouse singer, songwriter, and multi-instrumentalist. Her first Nashville album of all original music was released in February of 1995. She returned to the studio to record her second album EP project in October of 2018. She released 2 more singles in 2019, and she returned to the studio in the spring of 2020 in Franklin, Tennessee to record her next 4 singles with Off the Road Recording Studio as one of their breakout artists. She plans to release 6 singles in 2021.
And now, welcome this week's special guest.
Welcome to the show, Pamela. How are you doing tonight?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for being on the show tonight.
Thank you for asking me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. So I know you've got pretty interesting history here, and tell me a little bit about when did you first get the bug for music here?
Well, if we go way back, I would say probably 5th grade with my orchestra teacher, because my first instrument was cello and then piano and then, singing. So for as long as I can remember, I've had the musical bug, I guess, and kind of followed that through high school and the first part of college and gave it up for a while after going to Nashville and got out of it and came back to it a few years ago, probably about 8 years ago. And it kept bugging me like, hey, you got to get back into, music. And started in the dueling piano world and was doing covers and decided that, I wanted to know what I sounded like again and started my solo career, I guess, 2018.
Yeah.
And here I am.
Good for you. I've always wanted to play the cello, but yeah, that's not something I can do. I can pretend on the keyboard, right? But no, that's got to be really cool to play the cello.
Yeah, I play several instruments. So I play the cello, the piano, the bass. I'm learning acoustic guitar. I play the harmonica and the drums. So
wow, that's really cool. And I love how you said the drums too, because that really helps you with your rhythm and your timing. So you've got the whole package there.
It does. That was a little complicated to learn at first, just because you're moving 4 parts at one time.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I had an instructor, and he told me something really interesting because I was trying to figure out groove and all this. He's like, a drummer only has 2 hands and 2 feet. I'm like, oh, okay, that kind of puts into perspective, the kick, the snare, just trying to figure out like everything that's going on. And it seemed simpler after he told me that.
Right. That's it. It's all you have.
Yeah.
How fast can you move them?
Yeah. So what is your favorite instrument? If I could put you on the spot to tell us one.
I would say now I love playing the drums. That's probably my second favorite, but the piano. I mean, that's, my first instrument now. So I would say the piano. It's how I make my money. So I gotta give that one my favorite.
Awesome. Okay. And when you put together a song, do you start with piano, or do you start with the groove? Do you start with the melody, lyrics? How do you get started?
I start with a song idea and kind of a storyline in my head and a title. And then I get with my co-writers and we kind of talk about it. So I may have some lyrics that come to me and I write those down in my phone, or I record them in my phone. And then when I meet with my co-writers, Since I'm the one out of the co-writers that actually does the most recording, we're usually writing songs for me to record. So it's they pull a lot out of me as well as we're, continuing to write in the process at the time that we're writing a song. And one of my co-writers, my main co-writer is Dave Linehan, and he has his guitar usually out. And so he'll sit and he'll kind of strum a few bars, and we kind of make up a melody and we go from there.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you figure out if something is going to get released to the public?
I have to really feel it. So, I started writing more extensively probably within the last year, and these next 6 songs that I have for this year, which I just released, the first one in February, they all have to be something that I connect with and have the sound that I'm looking for, because we do write some things that I really like, but I don't have the right sound for it yet. Just because when we do the work tape, I'm not feeling it. So it has to be something that's 100%, that my heart is into, something that I'm feeling at the time, or that I can relate to and that I think other people can relate to. That's how I determine what I'm going to release. And, I look at the time of the year as well as when I'm going to release them. So,
okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are you influenced by any old records or vinyls or tapes? And if so, which ones?
I really like Fleetwood Mac, like their greatest hits. I have the vinyl up in my music room, and then I listen to some Sam Cooke and some old Dolly Parton as well. And some of that, it does. It kind of puts me in a mood to just relax and clear my mind and, envision myself even back in those days, even though I'm not, that old, as old as they are. But, just to envision like, okay, this is something I can do. And these people have done it and they've been successful at it. So I can do it too, and
I love old Dolly. I love, I actually just saw the Dolly Parton documentary on Netflix. Was it Netflix or Hulu? I think it was Netflix. I don't know if you've seen it, but it was great.
I'll have to check it out. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I'll have to check it out.
It was awesome. It talks about old Dolly, and she really was a trendsetter, especially for women. Yes. And very, very cool. I didn't know this about Elvis, how, the song I Will Always Love You. Mm-hmm. Elvis was going to do it, and then the day before, he basically told her, hey, you got to sign all your rights away. And she said no. And then, of course, it became a mega hit with
Whitney.
Dolly Parton, with Whitney. And then she actually said, which was kind of cool, she goes, yeah, with all the money it made, I could buy Graceland. So
right,
it was so cool. I love Dolly.
Yeah, she's an inspiration for, women, especially women in country, because she was the trendsetter, with her appearances. She went into movies and then, her songwriting. So
she's an inspiration for me too. So that, I love Dolly. So I totally respect what she's done.
Yeah, she's great.
So tell us a little bit about the typical day in your life. What's a typical day like for you?
Now, if we're talking about every day versus like a performance day, they're two different things.
Okay, tell us both, actually. That'll be cool. Tell us both.
Okay. So, I have a day job. So my husband and I, we both, we own Balfour, Arkansas, which we own 2/3 of the territory here in Arkansas. So we sell class rings and cap and gowns. So I actually go into schools and talk to kids, and I say kids, high school students. And we talk to them about the tradition of the class ring. And, like I said, we try to help their graduation ceremony by providing the cap and gowns as well. So a typical day would be me getting up in the morning and traveling to a school across the state of Arkansas, coming back home and sitting on my computer and working on my music stuff. So that's the typical, I'm working on my website, I'm working on promotions, I'm working on ads, I'm working on songwriting outside of my day job. The good thing about my day job is it is flexible. So there's days that I get to work on my music all day long. Now, on a typical performance day, if I did not perform the night before, I may get up at, 10 in the morning and kind of focus myself for the day on what I'm doing that night. And it takes me about an hour and a half to get ready. I feel like sometimes I am Dolly Parton. Like I have to, I have like I do. Like, cause when I'm at home, I'm no makeup, no bra, hair's up in a ponytail. And it's like, then I have to like transform to my stage person. And so it's the hair and the makeup and the fake eyelashes and you get all faked up for the stage.
That's all right.
Now, if I perform the night before, the next day, cause I perform here in Arkansas, Fridays and Saturday nights every week. So Saturday I sleep a good portion of the day because I get off so late the night before and just do it all over again. and, try to just make contact with as many people as I can. And, shake babies and kiss hands, or shake hands and kiss babies, whatever that is, you just
and who knows in what order, right? Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, that's my typical day. And I have 3 kids. 2 still live at home, and they're in high school. So, whatever they have, craziness they have going on, sometimes it's soccer games, bowling matches, it's whatever they have going on. So,
yeah. How about live performances? Obviously, COVID's affected all of us, but before that, tell us a little bit about how often would you try to gig, and tell us about that.
Well, so I am a full-time dueling piano player. So prior to COVID, we were open 5 days a week here in Arkansas at Willie D's in Little Rock. And I would play 3 to 4 nights a week, every weekend. COVID hit. We were closed for, I think, 6 weeks. And then we were just on restriction on how many people could come in because they opened back up. But we only opened up 2 nights a week. So I've been still performing every Friday and Saturday night since we opened kind of back last May. Now, prior to, because I do have a band as well. So my band was just getting started, and we were gigging with my band and trying to do festivals, like once a month, sometimes twice a month on top of my other gig, or I would take the night off from the dueling pianos and do my band stuff. And we're actually starting to ramp that back up. But, the dueling piano world has been my main incomes for the last 8 years. So doing my private stuff, I'm taking off more and more from the dueling world to do more of that and to get my, my personal name out versus just, she's a dueling piano bar player that plays covers, So now I'm starting to get more out, on my own and my band and all that kind of stuff. So
that's very cool.
Like I said, I've been performing every week for 8 years live.
That's awesome. Jacob, one of our listeners, texted in a question.
Sure.
What is a dueling piano? Can you tell our listeners that might not know about that a little bit about it?
Yeah. So dueling piano bar, if you ever get a chance to go to one, they're super fun. So it's 2 piano players, basically. They're generally the pianos are facing each other, and one player will play a song and then the other player will play a song. It's kind of like an interactive clap along, sing along environment. So the songs that we play are generally all top 40 from the 40s, 50s to today, all genres. So I have to know a good mix of a lot of music. But so think about the biggest hits you've ever heard. That's what we're learning. That's what we play, and you get to request it. And we make jokes, and we're kind of like an improv comedy set as well. So we do birthdays and make fun of the birthday people. People pay us to do that. And kind of embarrass them. That's kind of the gist of the show. It's just a good time. So if you like to hear cover songs and you want to hear, jokes and fun and clap along and sing along, and we do beer giveaways, we do all kinds of things. It's just a really fun party environment. And so that's been my job for 8 years. I've been basically a leader of a party for 8 years.
That's awesome. And you know what?
Yeah.
That, I think, is a unique skill set. And I think it also makes you a great showwoman. I don't want to say showman because
it's okay.
Yeah, but I think, I don't know if you've had this challenge, maybe not, but I grew up my whole life, writing lyrics since 4th grade, and I basically sang, right? I was in concert listening to all these covers, singing anything I could.
Right.
But then I realized when you have to create your own stuff, it's completely different. Not just the rhythm, but especially the melody.
Exactly.
A lot of people can sing other people's music, but then when you have to create something that's catchy and memorable and all that, that's been a huge challenge for me. And this is my 8th year doing it, and I think I'm finally figured it out by now. And part of it is nobody ever told me, I would just kind of be up there singing. But I think that's a huge challenge for indie artists that put out their own stuff. What do you think?
I completely agree. I spent my first 5 years as a dueling piano bar player, playing covers. I mean, playing other people's music, kind of like, that's how you learn. And going into my own realm of what do I want to sound like, and what message do I want to put out there, and what is my hook, and what makes these songs great? Because I'm playing these covers night after night after night after night after night, and people are like, "How do you remember all of these?" And I'm like, "Well, the same songs come up." And so I've had the luxury or the benefit of studying the songs that I've learned that are other people's songs that make them great, and trying to put some of the same elements either in chord structure or melody line hook, things like that. And then I have met other, former or other co-writers that kind of are doing the same thing. And all of us in the dueling piano world, share that love of entertaining. And so that has helped a lot. Okay, what can I write that will get people up dancing? What can I write that's going to touch somebody's heart? And so things that come from me either come from personal experiences or my observations of other people. And it is challenging because I don't want to sound like anything I cover either. So that's hard.
Yeah.
If I'm covering Journey, I don't want to sound like Journey. If I'm covering Miranda Lambert, I don't want to sound like Miranda Lambert. And I've done it for so long that sometimes I find myself in my writing sounding like these people, and I have to change it. So I have to, go the opposite way.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And the other thing that was interesting is, again, and I'm just sharing my personal story.
Right.
Sometimes, you do something like, wow, people love this song from my first CD or my second, and I had no idea why.
Right.
So eventually I figured out, and now I listen back, and the stuff that didn't get rated well, I understand why. But it's the same thing with covers. Like sometimes you're emulating things, but you don't know, is it the syncopation? Is it the rhythm, the melody, the chord? You have no idea. But I think the more you do this, it really does take you 10 years to become an overnight sensation. And it's because you're figuring out your sound and you're figuring out what makes you different.
Right. I would totally agree with that. And like I said, I think if you are a music lover and you listen to so much music, it's so easy to pick up things that would make you sound like somebody else. And it's hard to be an individual at times, and for people to like that, because I think our ears, and here in America at least, get attuned to hearing certain patterns. Because I don't know if you notice this or not, but there's a wave of, and you'll see this year after year, where certain types of music make it popular and they all sound alike.
Yes.
You're like, why does all that sound alike? And it's the chord patterns. And when I'm looking at it and as a dueling piano player and I'm memorizing these songs, I'm like, well, that's the same chord pattern as this other song. And you could start meddling them together and you're like, wow, all of these songs that I'm meddling together, our ears are attuned to that particular pattern of music. And being able to use that, but then sound different is the challenge, I think.
Yes, absolutely. And there's so many things nowadays that you didn't have to worry about in the past. And I'm not saying that you should try to, copy people or rip any. But, I look at some of the stuff that Sheeran's going through and all these people, right? There's only so many progressions and there's only so many. In the past, people would take a song, they'd mimic it, change lyrics, whatever. That was they said, oh, I'm inspired by this or that. You can't do any of that anymore. You can't admit to it. If you're listening to 10 different songs, and again, I don't think most people, legitimate musicians, I've written over probably almost 2,500 songs at this point.
Wow.
I'm sure one of them sounds like something from somewhere, but again, can you imagine if you get famous like Ed Sheeran and all of a sudden people are like, hey, that's from this or that's from that? I mean, I almost feel bad for the guy because he's such a prolific songwriter, but it's just going to be really, really tough in the industry, I think.
Right. And like you said, there's only so many patterns and songs that, and I think if you, like I said, if you're a true music lover, something's going to come back up and you don't even realize it.
Yeah.
Somebody's like, well, that's my pattern. You're like, well, I mean, yeah, I've heard your song before and I didn't realize that was in my head when I wrote this one. Yeah.
And isn't that the whole problem now too, right? It's the whole thing of, oh, is this deliberate or is this like, subliminal and you didn't know you were copying that? And
right.
Yeah, it's tough. It really is tough. I don't know what to say, but what do you think about the state of the music industry nowadays in terms of streaming, in terms of what songwriters, musicians get compensated? Do you have any advice on that? Any thoughts?
Well, I know it's not a lot for the amount that I pay for one song to be, written, produced, a video put out. I was figuring that up the other day, and it's close to, by the time I've advertised and, like purchase shirts for, giveaways or whatever, I'm looking at, $2,000 a song. And what we get back on streaming is so little. I want to say it's 0.002, and then that per stream, and then that is split between the writers, and everybody else. Everybody gets a piece of that pie as well. I think it should be more, but I understand why it is the way it is because we've gone to streaming services, so now you pay $14.99 and you stream all you want. So I always tell people, I'm like, if you like my song or even if you don't like my song, just turn it down and put it on repeat. Because if you can get, 100 listens, or I think they were figuring out, like, if you get 250 listens, you might get $1. So, I
think from what I heard that Spotify is, like, if someone has it like that, they're trying to track the volume if it's down, or if someone is just repeating your thing more than 2-3 times, they don't count anymore. But what's BS about that, right, is that Spotify can hire artists or buy work for hire agreements and have their own streaming playlists of instrumental or sleep music and put that at the top of their curation. Right. So that way they don't have to pay out as much. So it's a messed up thing.
Well, and they pay, from what I understand, they pay people with, like, as indie artists, we don't have any kind of contract or way to contact like Spotify and negotiate a rate. Yeah. But my understanding is, like, somebody say like Beyonce, can go, well, I'm not going to put it on your streaming platform if you don't pay me X amount of money for it.
Yeah.
So they have brokers that can negotiate their rate, whereas as indie artists that are paying out of our pocket, just to produce the song and get it out there, can't.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a sad thing. I mean, I made a little bit on Spotify, not nearly what I've spent, but I was asked people, like, look, put it on a playlist, put some of your favorite songs in there, and just put mine in your rotation, and that way, whatever.
Yeah, it's one of those things, It's like I just try to get it out there everywhere, and I figure eventually, people, if they dig it, they'll actually buy it, which nobody really does anymore.
Right.
But it is what it is.
I think with each song that I put out, I might get people that don't stream. I may get like 10 purchases. So that's 99 cents times 10. So about $10. And then I get like $6 out of it. So if they purchase it, yes, you pay the 99 cents if you want to support the artist, or you just, contact the artist and say, hey, do you have this on a CD? Because I'd rather sell you a CD. I'll make a little bit more,
Absolutely.
Because I have to pay to press my CD as well. And so those are, the things you give away at your shows, or you sell at your shows for $10, and, it may cost me $5. I make $5. So I make a little bit more if you'll buy my CD.
Yeah. No, I totally get it.
Even if your car doesn't play it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because mine won't now.
We're going to hear your song here in about a minute. Tell us what inspired it. What do you want us to take from it?
Okay, so the song is Little Things, and about a year to a year and a half ago, I had this idea that I wanted to do this duet, and I wanted that perfect male voice. And I'd asked a couple of my buddies that sing with me at the club and that I know that sing, and they were like, oh, yeah, we'd love to help you write it. I had the idea. I was like, okay, it's going to be called Little Things. So I had the title. I had the little things that make me melt, but I needed the guy's perspective. Well, those guys never would set a date with me to write. So I had a couple of other friends of mine go, hey, have you ever heard of this guy named Matt Dane? I used to be a police officer. He used to be a police officer. He's from Arkansas. I'm from Arkansas. You need to hook up with him. He's in Nashville. I was like, I don't know who this dude is, but okay, I'll give him a listen. I go to, Spotify or iTunes, find his songs, and I'm like, I'm in love with his voice. I am in love with this man's voice. So I contact him and ask him if he's interested in writing a song with me. And the whole gist of the song was these little things that keep people together year after year. I've been with my husband for over 25 years. And, that was the inspiration for it. And he said, I would love to help you write this song. He wanted to bring a buddy of his in named Trapped in Harvey. And we did it over a Zoom. And so we got together on a Zoom meeting, and in about an hour and a half, we had this completed song. He did a work tape for me. He met me in Nashville, and we recorded it, did our pictures together, and that was the first time I'd ever met him face to face. And
That's
this
awesome.
is the product that you hear. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. All right. I'll tell you what, Pam. Let's check this out, and we'll come back and talk, okay?
Sure.
All right. Here we go, everyone. Check this out.
You know when to get close and when to stay away.
You know how to bring the sun to my darkest days.
You know just what turns me off and just what turns me on.
Like the way you call me baby and pour me all night long.
It's those little things that make my heart melt. Everything that you won't find in a fairy tale. But it wakes me up like my granny did. How to leave a trace of lipstick on my lips.
You know just what turns me on, just what turns me on. Like the way you dance with me and lead me down the hall.
It's those little things that make my heart melt. Everything that you won't find in a fairy tale. It's what wakes me up and puts me to bed. Looking back, I know I'm blessed. It ain't white picket fences, fancy cars and diamond rings.
It's those little things. The dimples in your cheek,
The softness of your skin still feel like those crazy kids.
like where it all began. It's those little things that make my heart melt.
Everything that you won't find in a fairy tale. It's what wakes me up and puts me to bed. Looking back, I know I'm blessed. It ain't white picket fences, fancy cars and diamond rings.
It's those little things.
Oh, I love those little things.
Where do you see music going in the next 10 years? Any predictions?
You know, I think CDs are going to go to the wayside. Like I said, I have a car that I bought a year ago and has no CD player in it. And, tapes are gone, obviously. I think CDs are, gone. So we have to find another way, I guess, put everything on a thumb drive as far as being able to listen to it outside of streaming. I think streaming is not going away. I'm not sure after that what's going to happen, but I, assume unless our industry, our union, musicians union steps up and, requires us to be paid a little bit more, it's probably going to go down, per stream would be my assumption, or people will have to pay more to stream.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the other thing that's kind of happening, which, in the movie industry, they have the blockbuster and it's all about that. I feel like music is also all about the top couple artists,
right,
which is kind of a shame because streaming, and there's a kind of a little mini revolution for the indie artists and releasing your stuff by yourself. But the challenges are definitely there.
Right. And I think, with us as indie artists, we're going to, as you have to pay to put your music out there. Otherwise, only your close circle hears it. And they may or may not hear it, depending on what, say, like Facebook wants to show them. So, it may get more expensive for us to even though I'm pushing my music out, I'm paying CD Baby to push it out to Spotify and iTunes and all of that. There's so many other people doing it. You get lost in a sea, of.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
The other thing is, you could try to time things. This has happened to me so many times with CD Baby where I'm like, hey, I literally, for the last couple of years, I release it on CD Baby like a week before I want it released.
Right.
And still there's times where I'm like, all right, everyone, hey, this is out on, and Apple Music, it's not there yet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've had this problem with them consistently where you contact them, like, oh, we sent it out there, it should be. And
yeah, well, they're like, well, that's them. Sorry.
Yeah, and it doesn't happen to Taylor Swift or Justin Bieber, I'm sure.
Well, of course not. Well, no.
When they drop it, they drop it, yeah.
They drop it. They probably go directly to iTunes and go, hey, here's my song. And they're like, oh, happy to play it.
Yeah.
We'll just go ahead and stick it on top when people look at it. Yeah, I know.
That's right.
It can be frustrating. I try to time my stuff as well. So, and I had the problem last summer with that because they blamed it on COVID. And I was like, don't all of you work on computers? I mean, it's kind of what you do. How did COVID stop that? Anyway, it was a big ordeal.
I hear you. So one of the questions I like to ask everybody is about scams. Tell us about a scam you want to warn all of us about or something that might have happened to you.
Well, so of course, back in 95, it was different. We didn't have the internet, so I can't even talk about that. But that's one of the things that happened to me in 1995 when I first got into music and recording in Nashville. anyway, was told I was going to be pitched and all this stuff, paid a bunch of money. It didn't happen. That's why I gave up music. Coming forward now, things that I see that I would tell people to be aware of are companies that say, pay us and we'll put you on our playlist. If you look at Spotify's, their stuff, they say, don't ever get pay to be put on playlists because those are probably fake,
Yeah.
Don't do those. And you're paying somebody money and you're not getting anything in return. There's a particular company that I am not quite in litigation with right now, but we're about to be if they don't partially refund my money because they made all these promises and just did not follow through. And then I've asked several times, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? This is what I was promised. You're not giving it to me. Like, and they keep putting me off. Well, you could talk to our attorney. Well, I've been supposedly talking to their attorney since November. So I had to get my attorney involved. And so we're, about to have to go through litigation, but I would definitely, one of the things that I would do is if you're going to work with a PR company or whatever, do your research. And I thought I did on this other company. I didn't find anything good or bad. But with, I'm with MTS Management right now, and he's been nothing but great. Michael Stover's been nothing but great. So I would definitely talk to other artists who have done business with a company before you just hand your money over. Because most of us work on a budget as an indie artist. Like I have a budget for advertising. I have a budget for my songs being cut. I have a budget for my official music videos, and so working within that budget, making sure your dollar goes to somebody who's going to actually do something with it.
Yeah.
And actually maybe contacting the artist and saying, what is your experience, with this company?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely 100% right. You mentioned one thing, the music video. So it's very interesting because when I put out a new music video every month with a song, and I used to release it on CD, and then I stopped, and there's so much confusion now. I know there's Symphonic, and there's some distributors that'll get your music video out on, Vivo, and what's your feeling about that? Because I think that's even more confusing for people than getting their songs out there, which seem pretty easy with TuneCore and some of the distributors out there. What's your feeling on videos?
So I have official music videos on Vivo. And then I have an artist channel on YouTube. So I have two different YouTube channels going on. My artist channel, I keep it separate from my Vivo channel. And the way I got Vivo, and this was kind of confusing to me, is you cannot put your things on Vivo without a third-party distributor. So I did research, and there's only like 2 or 3 that'll do it, and one of them is Marvment, and that's who I went to. And basically, there are criteria of what type of videos you can put on Vivo, and but you have to pay them, and you can't customize your channel. Basically, you give it to them, and everything goes through them. So I don't have control of that channel at all. I basically say I go to my website through Marvment and I upload my video. I tag everything I need to tag, and then it goes to them, and they're the ones that push it to the Vivo channel. But here's the thing. With the artist channel that I have that has my other videos on it that are more like my acoustic type, me sitting there singing or performing, you have to have 1,000 followers and 4,000 hours of watch to monetize. Whereas at Vivo, you monetize immediately. So you pay to get on it, but your videos will automatically be monetized as soon as they start to play. So you're not getting a lot. Again, the streams are very, very small. So you're hoping a video hits and you'll make some money. But I want to say I pay them like $200 a year, so it's not too bad.
And how do you...
No, I haven't made that back, though.
Yeah, is that something that's separate from YouTube? You can put your videos on YouTube and on Marvment?
So it is. But Vivo is on YouTube. That's where it's at. Marvment is the third-party distributor that I use to get on Vivo.
Yeah, but my point was, can you also have the videos on your own YouTube channel, or can you only have them through Marvment?
Mm-hmm. I think so, yeah. Because you can, because I've got them on. I've got my video, my official music video for Forever started out on my artist channel. And then when I got my Vivo channel, I was like, well, this is an official music video. I'm going to go ahead and put it on there. You have to have a separate ISRC number.
Yeah.
ISCR, whatever that is.
ISRC.
You have to have
RC.
I have that right first. You have to have a separate ISRC number because they track them differently. But you can. And in fact, that particular video on my artist channel has like 1,100 views, and on my Vivo channel only has like 234 because it took me like a year to get my Vivo channel. up and going when I realized that's what I could do. Because I was like, I'm never going to get monetized on here because it's hard to get subscribers to subscribe and stay.
Yeah.
They'll subscribe and they leave. They subscribe. And so unless you go viral, it's hard. So I was like, well, how can I make money off the bat? And did some research, and it's Vevo, but you have to go through the third-party distributor.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm going to have to check out this Marvment that you talked about because I know there's, I think, NVIDIA. There's just a couple that I've looked at. And again, if you want to market it and promote your video, they're all like, oh, we'll get it on this channel and that channel. And it's all BS.
Right.
They take your money. It doesn't go anywhere. You don't get any significant exposures.
Right. But if you have it on your Vevo channel, number one, it's going to look a little bit more official.
Yeah.
Because it has the Vevo logo on it. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, how'd you get a Vevo channel? And I'm like, well, it's not that hard. You just got to do your research. I mean, it's confusing though, because I literally was like, and I've tried to merge them. I've contacted Marvin. I'm like, how can I merge this onto my artist channel? Because now I have 2 channels and I have 2 sets of subscribers. And they're like, you can't. And I'm like, how can I not? I don't understand. Why can't I? And I think they just want to hold the reins, and that's just part of the system,
Yeah, I get it.
And I mean, it's one of those. It is what it is. You just learn to work within it and do the best you can to make the little bit of money you can, and try to capitalize on as much streaming and streams of income throughout the different tiers that you can get back.
Yeah.
But I try not to pay anybody anymore. I mean, I pay, my PR manager because he's done nothing but great things for me. And I've seen my numbers go up. Numbers go up, fans go up, then money comes back to me.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. Okay. Tell you what, give us your information. Where can people buy your music, stream it, contact you?
The best place to go, and this is kind of where I direct everybody, because everything you need to know is straight on my website. All my social media, my YouTube links, everything is at www.PamelaHopkinsmusic.com. And like I said, I've got merch on there for my new song coming out. I've got my videos for my original songs. I've got everything. I mean, you can find everything on there. You just search it. PamelaHopkinsmusic.com.
Awesome. All right, Pamela, I want to thank you so much for being on the show. Hopefully you enjoyed as much as I did, and love to have you again anytime.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Awesome. All right. So to any listeners out there, thank you so much for tuning in with us. I know your time is precious, and thank you for spending some of it with me and Pamela. If there are anybody out there who wants to be on the Songwriter Show, please just reach out to me. I hope everyone's unique story gets heard around the world. My name is Sarantos. Please join me every Tuesday night to hear other amazing artists share their fascinating behind-the-scenes stories right here at the Songwriter Show. And tonight, I'm going to leave you with one of my older songs called The Silence Doesn't Bother Me. Pop song about a nervous singer who's ready to walk out onto the stage for the biggest show of his life. I hope you guys enjoy it. Have a great night, everyone. I love you guys.
The crowd howling outside, my doubts spin in my mind. I tried to keep them all inside, but now they know. They know my deepest fears, my thoughts, my pain, my tears. And if they scream or if they cheer, they'll never get to me. Now I'm free, I'm standing here. Doesn't matter what you want, let the thunder rage on. And now I'm free, standing here. Doesn't matter what you say, my music's gonna play. The silence doesn't bother me, the silence doesn't bother me today. The silence didn't bother me yesterday. The silence never bothered me anyway. For me are gone. Put all my heart into my songs, my true colors show. I don't care what they say, won't let them change my ways. Won't take it even one more day, you'll never get to me. Now I'm free, I'm standing here. Doesn't matter what you want, let the thunder rage on and on. And now I'm free, standing here. doesn't bother me today. The silence didn't bother me yesterday. The silence never bothered me anyway. Stronger than ever, I will never stand down. No, never, no, never. I will rise up much stronger than ever. I will never stand down. No, never, no, never. I will rise up much stronger than ever. I will never stand down. No, never, no, never. I will rise up much stronger than ever. I will never stand down. No, never, never. The silence doesn't bother me. The silence doesn't bother me today. The silence didn't bother me yesterday. The silence never bothered me anyway. The silence doesn't bother me. The silence doesn't bother me today. The silence didn't bother me yesterday. The silence never bothered me anyway.
Thank you for listening to The Songwriter Show. To keep the momentum going, head over to www.songwritershow.com and join our free music community of artists, songwriters, and producers. That's www.songwritershow.com.
Thank you for choosing Pesmo Radio.